I'd like to start off by asking you some questions. How far are we going to take our principles? How committed are you to taking chiropractic to the masses? How many lives do you want to save, and how many lives do you want to impact? Do you want to play small, or do you want to start playing like a big business? If you want to have a massive impact and be rewarded for it, say aye. Aye. My mission is, over the next few minutes, I want to share some concepts with you that will help you take our principles and take them as far as you choose to. See, when I ask chiropractors, is it possible to have a chiropractic office inside of a hospital? I'm talking about a principled, subluxation focused, straight chiropractic office. Most chiropractors, most of you say, oh, that's impossible. Well, I have 7 practices, and one of them is built inside of a hospital in Connecticut. Yeah. We'll put a chiropractic department inside of a hospital where medical doctors, cardiologists, pediatricians, behavior specialists are referring patients to the department not for the purpose of treating pain or conditions, but for the purpose of analyzing the patient's spine to look for subluxations, to correct them, so patients can express their lives at their full God-given potential. Now, medical doctors are sending patients to this department. Patients are getting x-ray analysis, they're getting their listings, they're getting scanned, and all the data is being recorded inside the hospital's EHR, where it's all available to our doctors. And the only service that patients are receiving in that hospital are chiropractic adjustments. Now, while most doctors, most chiropractors would say that would be impossible, as a result of putting this department inside of the hospital, thousands and thousands of lives are being impacted and saved. So, as I travel around the country and observe chiropractic offices, one of the reasons that many chiropractors are not having a bigger impact as they should be is because when it comes down to the minutia of running a chiropractic office, this is what it feels like, and this is what it feels like. It's like chiropractors are trying to build a high-performance practice or a high-performance car. And after doing that, they're going and buying parts from different manufacturers. It's like they heard Maserati's got great engines, so they get and buy parts from Maserati. They hear that BMW's transmissions are well in terms of precision, so they buy parts from BMW. They hear that Toyota is good for safety mechanisms, so they buy parts from Toyota. In their offices, they hear that someone's got a great communication style for reporter findings, so they bring those procedures in their practice. They hear that someone's good at getting new patients through online social media marketing, so they bring those procedures in their practice. And they try to put all these together, trying to build a high-performance practice or high-performance car. And they're wondering why it's not working. Raise your hands if you agree with me that we all got in chiropractic because we love serving our patients. Raise your hands. As you go to your office for that purpose. But here we have chiropractors being pulled in so many directions. Now they have to become a guru in social media marketing. They have to be gurus in special type of talking. Well, all that takes their attention off from a patient and it's being aberrated in so many different directions. And as a result of that, over time, that results into feeling of an overwhelm. Or even worse, burnout. And that's why there are so many chiropractors who are struggling and they're barely making $100,000 a year. And even worse, sitting on a board of examiners, I see chiropractors coming from the board. These are good people, good chiropractors, but they started doing some things that are incongruent with who they are, and they got themselves in trouble. For instance, a guy who sends his patient to a collection agency 3 years after the patient stopped coming. Well, why didn't you collect the money up front? Now the patient report him to the board. Or chiropractors who are billing on procedures that never performed on a patient. What I like to do, I like to share with you 3 key things that if you embrace them and you implement them in your practice, not only will it help you to play a bigger game if you choose to, not only will it help you to serve more people, but also will help you to protect and promote and perpetuate our principles and take them as far as you choose to. See, I feel very fortunate because I never faced some of these struggles that many chiropractors had to go through. And that's not because I'm super genius or anything like that, but that's because I have one of the greatest mentors in my life. And that's my father. When it comes to business and entrepreneurship, my dad is a genius, and he taught me a lot. He said, Carlos, if you're to analyze the most successful businesses, regardless of which industry they're in, whether it's automotive, whether it's telecommunications, whether it's technology or healthcare, you will see that they all abide by few principles. So rather than theorizing it, I analyzed them, and I came up with 3 things. And the moment I started putting those key things in my practice, not only my practice started growing and expanding, not only did I start serving more and more people, not only did I have to open more locations from 1 to 7, not only did I get financial freedom, that means I don't have to work another day in my life. Not only did it give me time freedom, that means I can go wherever I want, whenever I want, for as long as I want, but most importantly, give me the most fulfilling experience of all. And that's the ability to give back to the profession that you and I love so much. To the profession that's given me and provided me with so much. And isn't that what New Beginning is all about? Isn't that why we come here? Isn't that what Jim Dubell and Babs and Tony DeMarco and the board have been doing for the past, 26, 27 years? Raise your hands if you've been in practice 10 years or less, please. 10 or less. 10 to 20. 20 and up. I get calls from doctors all the time. They say, hey, I've been in practice 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, and I'm thinking about starting to, retiring. I want to ask you, what's your exit strategy? What are you going to do when the time comes when you want to shift your priorities from active practice? Where are you going to sell it? Where are you going to just close the doors and walk away? Are you going to bring associates or something? They're going to run the practice and have you continue serving the communities that you're involved in and continue serving the principal? What are you going to do? I know people say, don't talk about business. Well, I say, why not? Maybe the people who say that they failed in business, and why would you want to talk about something that you failed at? See, that kind of mindset limits your expansion. It reduces your reach. And then you end up playing a small game. When I first started taking flying lessons, one of my favorite experiences was the ability to see the roads from above. I could see how there was going to be traffic on the way to work. I could see if there was some other routes that I could take to work. It gave me a bird's eye view of the region. Every so often, as a profession, we need to climb the tree and take a look at the business marketplace and take a good look at what other successful industries are doing. And when you do that, and if you do that, you'll see that data always points to a few models. And one of those models that's had long-term success over a long period of time is actually a franchise model. There are currently over 800,000 establishments in America that are under this model. That means if you and I are to walk out of this room right now and start analyzing businesses out there, there are so many businesses that are franchised that you and I wouldn't know about. The total economic output for this industry is $2.1 trillion. Let me repeat that number one more time. $2.1 trillion. Do you think they're doing something right? You better believe they are. 7% of all private sector jobs is in this industry. You know what that number translates to? 8 million jobs. 50% of all sales, whether a service product, is being flown through some sort of franchise model. Anyone wants to take a wild guess as to what was the very first company that ever franchised their business? Singer sewing machines in the 1850s. You know what the second company was? Someone said Sears. You'll never guess this one. Rexall. You know what Rexall is? Drugstore. At their peak, they had 22,000 locations. Let me tell you something. You and I can get together, chiropractors get together to have this infighting going on. They're beating us when it comes to business. If we were just unite on our business principles, we'd be a better profession. You know what the third leading company was? Ford Motor Company. And here are the rest of the brands you probably heard of. So what are the three key things that all these industries have in common? They all have a consistent brand that's supported by time-tested, proven, well-documented processes, implemented with the right people in the right seats, managed by objective. Processes, people, management. Process, people, management. When they asked Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, what's the secret to your success? He gave a one-word answer. Consistency. Nothing can be improved or fine-tuned until it's first consistent. Nothing can be fine-tuned until it's first consistent. Isn't that how it is when you adjust people? Consistency makes your art better. Let me hear you all say this together. Come on. Nothing can be fine-tuned until it's first consistent. I didn't hear you guys. One more time. Nothing can be fine-tuned until it's first consistent. Well, processes implemented properly end up in consistency, which ends up in efficiency, simplicity, and profitability. The most successful practitioners' practices are very simple. Processes and systems, they need to be well documented. And in fact, I want to tell you something. My practice are based on process. And my philosophy is build a process-based, simple practice. And if you're not doing that, close the doors and go get a job. I know so many chiropractors that they build a very successful practice. But the moment something happens to them, they get sick, they get ill, they get hurt, or some sort of a life challenge comes up, a family death, or a divorce, there goes the practice. Or I hear chiropractors tell me they take vacations from Thursday to Sunday. What kind of vacation is that? If I want to take a vacation, it has to be at least 3 weeks where I want to fly across the ocean and really get the culture of whatever I'm going to. Processes is what's going to give you that ability. I'm challenging you. If you build your practice based on process, it'll simplify your life. I can tell you that my good friend, Dr. Sabatino, won't disagree with that idea. Dr. Sabatino, a good friend of mine, his 12-year-old daughter had some major health problems. Her recovery took almost a year, and she needed to be hospitalized. The hospital was 2 hours away from where he was practicing. In the midst of this, he had a wake-up call. He said, Carlos, there are times that I need to be at my daughter's bedside in the hospital. I had to choose between her and my practice. Some of you are so tied down to your practices, if God forbid something happens, you have to choose between your loved ones and your practice. See, systems and processes let you control your practice rather than your business controlling you. So many chiropractors complain about lack of control, yet in the same breath, they discount the value of process. So what do you need to do? You need to get processes that are well documented. That's the key. Everything needs to be documented. It has to be a proven process, but it needs to be well documented. And you need to get the right people in the right seats to get the processes implemented. The most successful leaders surround themselves with great people. It's impossible to build a great company without great people. And the two essentials of any great team is right people in the right seats. See, my practice, my team has more say than I do. More say. That's because we go through a very strict recruitment process. We find the right people, put them in the right seats, give them the processes, and get out of the way and let them make the dream come reality. Being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, is like being a blunt pencil architect. You have to go to the end of a horizon, look for people with talent, bring them back, tell them your vision, and get out of the way, let them make it happen. See, as a business owner, your job is supposed to be the dreamer and the goal finder. You get the right people in the right seats, manage them, and let the practice thrive. So in your practice, if you're the one who's doing the initial examination, if you're the one who's doing the report of findings, if you're the one who's taking the x-rays, if you're the one who's doing the reevaluations, if you're the one who's doing the in-office healthcare class, if you're the one who has to go out there and do like whatever it is, corporate talk or whatever you're doing, if you're doing all that, unfortunately, you might just be a slave in your own business. You have to have processes, right people in the right seats, and it's got to be managed by objectives. So it might take some time to put the right team together. Now, it could be destroyed real quickly also. And the story of how Henry Ford, a dreamer, drove the company into the ground is well known amongst the most successful CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. He was known as a one-man tyranny manager. That means if all the decisions had to be made by him, and if anyone as managers made any decisions, they'll be fired or demoted. In fact, it wasn't until his grandson, Henry Ford II, who came in and put management by objectives into that company was revitalized again. You might say, what does Ford have to do with me? Well, if all the decisions in your practice, from where to buy the headrest paper from and up to renewing your lease, it's made by you, you might be running a one-man tyranny kind of show. Processes, right people in right seats, managed by objective will help you expand your practice, will stabilize it. Most importantly, will help you predict the future of your practice and your life, literally. One of the processes that we have in our practice is what we call fast flow interviewing. Even if we're not hiring, we're always interviewing. We always have ads running. Twice a month, we'll interview for associate doctors. Once a month, we'll interview for staff. So I want to share a story with you. It was Wednesday, and I had interviewed 4 associate chiropractors. All 4 of them young grads, just recently graduated. The 5th one arrived to the office half hour early in the time it was supposed to be. So they had put him in the conference room. And the conference room on the 2nd floor. So I walk up the stairs, 2nd floor, open the door, and I saw this man sitting there who was probably 15 years older than me. And he had this look on his face, look of defeat, burned out, washed out. The moment he saw me, he got up, he says, hey, I'm Dr. Frank Day. I've been in practice for 22 years. My practice is just 45 minutes where we are. And I'm a constant chiropractor. All I do is knee chest adjustments. He says, but I'm done. I'm done running my business. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to close my practice. I'm going to let go of my staff. I'm going to work for you, and I'm willing to do it for $50,000 a year. I said, adjust me. So he lays me down on a table, and he gave me the most incredible adjustments I've ever had in my life. And as he's adjusting me, I'm thinking to myself, what it took for Dr. Day to swallow his pride, to give up on all of his dreams, all the love that he's put in his practice for so many years, to come to someone 15 years younger than him and want to work for $50,000 a year. I got up and I said, no way. He's like, why not? I said, because we're going to go back to your office. We're going to go right now. We went to his office. The front counter of his office, he had built himself. There's love pouring out of the walls. We put some processes in there. We arranged his team members, put them in the right place. Put some management technology in there. He went from making $50,000 a year. Last year, 2017, he filed his taxes, $525,000. Now I have many stories like Frank Day. Many practices have been transformed. I'm not here today to talk about them. Actually, here to talk about us. Because I think that's what New Beginning is about. It's about sharing. Sharing. There's so much intellectual capacity in here that we need to share and learn from each other. And I'll be here all weekend. If something that I share with you, that resonates with you, come and find me. You want to talk to me in private? I'll be happy to do that. Maybe I'll learn something from you. Maybe we can share some ideas and take this thing next level. I think that BJ said, we're being directed to elevate The mental consciousness of the planet. The planet. This morning, people have been talking about taking the principle further. Well, I had the opportunity, a blessing to do that earlier this year. In June, I was in China on behalf of ICA, where I adjusted thousands of people. And I was on a speaking tour. I was going from city to city. On the very city that I got to, after I was done speaking, I got off the stage and there was a mom holding her baby. And I went up to her, I said, and this is all in English, I have a translator, I said, we should check your baby and adjust her spine. And she handed over to me the baby. And I adjusted the baby. And all of a sudden I felt the energy of the room change. All of a sudden people started bringing their kids and line up to get adjusted. But it wasn't just the energy of the room. I was going on different cities. In every city that I went to, there was people waiting in the hotel. They would come early in the morning for me to adjust them in the hotel lobby. I want you to play that video, please.